back live here on the Crypto Breakfast Club, live across YouTube, live across X, and here on the X Space Crypto Breakfast Club with you every Monday through Friday, guys. Crypto is off to a really nice start here in October. And man, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Call it Token 2049 going on. Call it, I don't know, call it Q4. Whatever it is, I'll take it. And we're going to dive into the full market, give a full breakdown of what's going on, small caps, large caps, Bitcoin, of course, leading the way up at $119,000 right now, and 119.4 right now at market open, basically. And man, things are looking unbelievable. Bitcoin got up as high as 119.4 just basically right now. This is the highest it's been in the last 24 hours. Big breakout from the 109 range. We were just at 109 a few short days ago, which is crazy to believe. But 4 days ago, we were down at 109. This is how quickly things can change. A 10,000 increase in the Bitcoin price in just a few days. And Ethereum up at 4,400 right now. XRP just shy of $3. Right now, BNB comfortably back up above the $1,000 level. Solana looking pretty good, up at 225. That was a good dip on Sol, down below 200. But market leaders right now of the top 100, Zcash continues to race ahead. Zcash up 68% in the last 24 hours. I think it was CK Cardano yesterday saying that, hey, he said that this rally is going to continue with Zcash, and it has. It's up to 152, up 164% really in the last 48 hours. DEX is up 33%. SPX, one of the top meme coins, up 16% in the last 24. Aptos making a nice run. Remember, it was Sui and Aptos. Those are the guys from Facebook. And Sui was definitely the leader. Still is, but Aptos making some headway here today. Monero's up 10%. Kronos making a nice move, up 9%. EtherFi's up 8%. Athena, 8%. Litecoin and Aster both up 7%. And across the board, just seeing some really, really nice gains. You flip over to that top 100, 101 to 200. There are some interesting things happening over on the second page. And really some nice moves happening over there. Some big, big gainers. Dash is up 40%. Zora's up 22%. Mog, another top meme coin, up 17%. Eigenlayer up 16%. Deep Book Protocol on Sui's up 15%. Synthetics is one in that perp DEX category. Guys, they're up 14%. Don't forget about Synthetics, SNX, and that perp DEX kind of narrative. They're ranked 106. They're very close to cracking the top 100. Layer Zero is one of those assets we talked about last week that Binance invest heavily in. They're up 11%. Brett's up 7%. Toshi's up 5%. Tons of great moves happening in the markets. Will it last? Obviously, what goes up must come down eventually. But I think it's a great way to start the week. And we're going up and capturing some liquidity to the upside. Really, that's what I think's happening. And it's good. Obviously, I think with Bitcoin leading the way, it shows me that we're not fully, ready for full-on altcoin season just yet, because Bitcoin's still the leader. But it is a good sign, for Q4 here that we're starting off on the right foot. So if you guys are listening on YouTube, make sure you guys smash the like button for us. Drop some comments. I can interject that stuff into the chat. So if you guys are here, let me know you're here over on YouTube. Let me know you're here on X. And appreciate you guys so much. And everybody here on the space, make sure you guys share the room. Let's get it going here. But let's see here. We got a new speaker up here. I haven't seen you up here. P&L, small P&L. We'll jump to you, man. First and foremost, you were the first one to get a mic. You must have something to tell us. What's going on?
Good morning, brother. Thank you very much for letting me come up here. Yeah, I thought I don't talk on these spaces very often, but if you have the time for me, I have two questions that I'd love to get your thoughts on.
Sure, man. Yeah, and welcome. Welcome to the Breakfast Club.
Thank you very much. The first question is one that I was posed earlier in in a little breakfast space of my own in my little UK time zone. The question was, let's assume Bitcoin tops somewhere around 250k in this bull run, right? What do you think that puts Ethereum and Solana at if Bitcoin gets to 250k?
Yeah, you know what? It's it's a great question. It's a great question. I still think for ETH, somewhere in that 8 to 10K range is kind of, what I'm eyeing, and I'll be happy to get there. I've got some plans to take a little bit off the table there in that range. That's just me personally, based on, where I've been accumulating it, for a while. I was buying some ETH down at like 800, if you guys remember when we got down in there in the bear market. But you know, for Solana, they've already kind of topped out a little bit, but I do think they can make another run. It's tough to give these price predictions because nobody really knows. It just kind of depends on, where this institutional money is going to go. I think that's really what we're trying to front run right now is we know the institutional money's going to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Where else is it going to go? And what does that pie chart look like? And that's kind of where I'm kind of trying to play the markets. I think some of it will go to Sol. Of course, Solana ETFs are on the way. I think XRP too. I think those two at the top, Solana and XRP, should get a lot of attention. I mentioned yesterday how the SEC and the CFTC working together to fast track these ETFs. From what we're hearing from people like Nate Garachi and some of the XRP and Solana ETF experts, there's more pent up demand than people think for Solana and XRP specifically. So I think that's a good bet, those at the top. And, I think some of the other smart contract platforms are going to get cooking up again too. I think SWE, which was a leader in the, first half of the run, I think SWE's going to get some attention. I think they'll probably get some type of ETF as well eventually. But I'd be curious to get Mutasko's thoughts on this. Mutasko, what's your take here? How are you playing it if Bitcoin gets up there to that 200, 250K range? And I guess, do you think it gets there? And if so, what happens to altcoins? I think it's a good way to kick things off. Go ahead.
No, good morning. I like that question a lot, and I don't know if you're familiar with the ETH-BTC ratio. I think that's the simplest way to estimate. It's not, it's probably so far the best metrics, right? The ETH-BTC ratio, I don't look at it often, but recently I think it's around 0.039. So we literally went from 0.18 something. It literally went down that low. I have to check. But we're currently at 0.039, right? So if you're saying that Bitcoin is going to top at 250K, let's just take that number. That just means that for one Ethereum is equivalent to 0.039 BTC. So to get what Bitcoin's Ethereum price, you're going to make an assumption here, right? To what you just said. If the ratio stays the same and Bitcoin dominance pushes Bitcoin's price to 250K, multiply the 0.039 by 250,000, and it will give you what Ethereum's price will be. That's about $9,700, okay? And that is me just saying that Bitcoin will power up to 250. Ethereum would just stay at its current state, which I think it's impossible to assume that. But let's just say that. That will put Ethereum at a $9,000 price, okay? So if you think, Bitcoin is probably going to go up and ETH is going to go up as well, then you could be looking at 9,000 to 15,000. That would be where maybe Ethereum might be topping, right? So you have to look at it from that point of view, and that will give you like a crystal clear in your head, right? A lot of people are actually trading using these metrics. A lot of these smart whales, that's the metrics they're using today. You can also do that with ETH SOL ratio or whatever. The ratio is actually the simplest way to estimate. This is why a lot of people are buying a lot of Ethereum, because if it's going to top at like 9, 10, 15, I'm getting a great deal right now, right? And that is if you have a lot of money and you want to put it out there. So that would be my view on it, if that makes sense.
No, I love it. I think that's a great breakdown. Go ahead, P&L, if you want to respond to that. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of round that little bit off by just kind of recognizing that you both came at it from totally different angles, right? Mutasco from a really analytical, ratio-based point of view, and yourself from like where you think industry money is going to go, and you came up with relatively similar answers, right? You said 8 to 10k. I think it was 9.7k on the other side, which are both kind of where we landed in my little conversation earlier as well. You know, we went for the nice round $10,000 figure. So yeah, that was really interesting. Thank you very much. And if you'll let me, sorry, my second question, I'll ask permission before just doing it, 'cause it's your house, you know. But I wanted to talk about a meme coin. It's not some like 50k pump fund unbonded rubbish. It's 40 something million. With your permission, I'd love just 2 minutes to talk about it in the room.
Yeah, let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
Great. So you might have seen it underneath your comments where we're really aiming towards people like yourself. The coin is unstable coin, and it's a meme coin. We prefer to call it a movement coin. It's really, the narrative is all about, you know, flipping stable coins. Now, the website DeFi Llama has a stablecoin tracking platform. On that, we'd be something like number 70 out of 290 something. By market cap, we very briefly flipped Gemini's stablecoin GUSD, and you know, they reacted great to it. Yeah, I'd love to get your guys' thoughts if you've heard of it, if you know, if it's your kind of thing.
I'm taking a look at it. Whoops, I was unmuted. I was muted there. I'm taking a look at it right now, actually. Yeah, I see what you're saying. 45 mil, just shy of 45 mil market cap. I think I was messaging you guys in the back channels, actually, to kind of maybe get you guys on here, because I saw your project not too long ago, and I was kind of intrigued by it. The chart looks actually really, really good. And you guys have been out since, what, about June, I think? So not too long, but over 12,000 holders from what I can tell. Most of the supply is out there circulating. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. I'd be interested to maybe hear more about it. You know, maybe we dedicate, you know, a little bit more time to it at a certain time frame. But Mutasco, you got something here? Go ahead.
I haven't looked at it. I don't know much about it, but I think that the data I'm seeing, and I'm going to share some information here this morning, is that you do not want to fade the market at this point. So if anybody has any tip on anything, bring it on. I'll try to look at it, because this is not the moment to shy away from taking, you know, I'll call it risky bets. This is literally that moment. If you're somebody who's plugged in, you can kind of see. I have an app, the Atlanta Fed. I like to look at their data a lot. It's called Economy Now. If you just download it, you just see, like, it gives you high level, like, visibility on the data, GDP, inflation, employment, all that stuff, right? It's easy. You can kind of see where we're at. But what is interesting, and the reason why I'm saying this, is you have to look at the time we're at. And all of the indicators are telling me that the market is going to run hot. I just don't know how much. So if you're coming in with anything, there's very high chance that it will run, because that's just a function of liquidity. That's it. And I'm going to speak on QT as well, because I looked at some data last night, and it was fascinating because of where we're at. And I'll speak on that also shortly. But yeah, if you have anything that is speculative, speak it out. I'll take a look at it. This is actually the time to do so.
Yep, I'm with you. I love it, man. I love the moves we're seeing. We're seeing some small caps start to move too. And again, it's just how liquidity works, right? You're seeing some of the top meme coins lead the way. With Ethereum popping up a little bit, you're seeing some of the top ETH meme coins make a move. With SWE popping up, one of the ones we love is Lofi. Lofi, the top brand, top meme coin over on SWE, it's up 31% today. Got up back to a $22 million market cap. So I agree with you. I think we've been saying Q4, Q4, Q4. This is the time. This is the time. Get ready. Get ready. This is the time where you don't want to be scrambling. You want to be positioned. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be some ebbs and flows in the market. There always are, right? But you want to be ready for these next, I believe, 90 to 120 days, right? Like these next 3 to 4 months in particular, I think we're going to see fireworks at some point. I can't tell you that it's going to be October 15th at 4 p.m. like some of these other people can on X. God bless them, man. I don't know what the hell they're using, but they got some kind of snow globe that I don't have. I wish I had that snow globe, but, you know, because I hear people say, November 4th at 3:30 a.m., you better wake up and sell all your bags. And I'm like, dude, okay, okay. I'm gonna set my alarm now. I'm gonna be ready for that at 3:30 a.m. on November 4th. Um, you know, but all jokes aside, guys, I think position yourself right now, right? Position yourself and be ready to take profits when they hit your targets, because you can't put a time frame on this sort of thing. You can't. You can kind of get a thesis to where at some point within this time period, things are probably going to hit your targets, though, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Let's see here. AM, what's going on, man? Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Zach, and to everyone from Crypto Breakfast Club. Man, I listen to your podcast daily, even if I miss, I listen to the recorded one, and you guys give always good advices. I was just going to talk about retail. I know usually you guys talk about retail. I actually believe retail will come back because I myself was retail this cycle and 2021 too. Because I actually think when everything pumps, I feel that's how normal people find out and they just buy. It doesn't take them that long to actually buy the crypto. So I've just been positioning myself in low cap meme coins, especially on Coinbase or Binance, because I believe if we pump like 2021, I think people are actually going to come on Coinbase because I don't think they know how to buy on DEX, just how people buy on wallets. So I've just been positioning myself on like coins like KeyCat, Dog and Me, Degen, who are on all major exchanges like Coinbase, I believe. And I think also those will make runs, not just the top 10. So what do you think? Do you think low cap meme coins have a good chance to run this time also?
So AM, my take is, and really appreciate you coming back in, brother, every single day. That means a lot to us. We're doing it every single day. We're live streaming it right now too on YouTube and X. So shout out to everybody. We do have some questions over there. I'll get to some of those here in a minute. Bunch of people listening on the lives. My take is, I don't know about the low caps. To me, there's too much risk. But those mid caps, that's what I like. Those ones that are in the middle, that have been around, that still show that they have a strong community. They may be sitting at a 50, 60, 70 million dollar market cap, or even 20, 30, right? I'm willing to look. If there's a 20 to 30 million dollar market cap and they've been out for a year and they have a really strong community and they're grinding, they're worth a look. Now, something that is brand new, that's just, a few weeks old, that's $1 million or $2 million. I'd rather just sit on the sidelines and wait for that thing to mature a little bit before I go in, because if I want to go into something, I want to feel good about it. I don't want to take a huge risk at this point because I think there's so many good, safe bets. And how I'm positioning myself this go around is a little bit different than last go around. And I've just learned a lot, man. I've learned a lot, like through going through my full first cycle, being in it every single day, and just how to position myself. But am I, to Matasko's point, am I shying away from anything right now? No, I'm willing to look at everything and anything. And I think there are a lot of those interesting plays that are kind of mid caps however you want to categorize them. I love some of the larger ones too, like Brett and Toshi over on base. They've been the mainstays. They've been the top leaders over there. I mentioned Lofi on Sui. Love it. Sneck on Cardano. There's no competition. Love it. But if you look at that whole meme coin board, even Pepe. Pepe has been down for a while. It's not going anywhere, but it's been forgotten about. I think it's undervalued. Pudgy's obviously been hot for a while. You've got Bonk, I think one of the leaders, if not the leader on Solana. I've got Bonk. I'm positioned there. I opened up a spot in SPX. I bought more under $1. I mean, you could have just got SPX down at 90 cents, guys. It's up to $1.24 today. This thing was down to 90 cents. You look further down that list. One that I am looking at actually right now is Turbo. Turbo's had a lot of great staying power. They're down to 263 mil, but they've been up to $1 billion before, and I don't think they're going anywhere. So yeah, there's a lot to like, I think, on this list. You can't buy them all, because if I'm going in, I want to build out a position to where it's fruitful and I can reap the rewards. So you got to pick and choose a little bit, but that's kind of at a high level, kind of the things I'm looking for. I want to see ones that, yes, they might be down from their all-time highs, 60, 70, 80% or whatever, but their community's still there. They're strong. They're active. They've been around for a while. They've shown me that they've got some staying power, So those are some of the things I'm looking at. We got Zach up here. Zach, what's going on, bro?
How's it going, man? Sorry, I was moving my trash when you called on me, waiting for my food delivery to get in. It's Thursday for me. But, man, everything looks great. The market looks good. I'm excited. But look at what I put up in the bubble. I've been talking about this. You want to know where retail is? Breaking news. Help with mortgage. Searches in Google reached levels unseen since the Great Recession. People want to know where retail is. That's where they are. They're searching how they're going to pay their mortgage. So just keep that in mind as the cycle moves up and you're taking profits. We have to be realistic here. And just like Zach said, put yourself in great positions and at some point stable up, right? You have to, because you can go through 4 years of just grinding and grinding to lose it all. So just be very careful. I'm still so bullish on the market, man. Q4 is going to be great, maybe even Q1 2026. So, God, this bird won't stop chirping. But, man, I'm bullish, man. The market looks great. Everything looks good. The only thing that scares me is the fucking bird, is the real estate market. See? They want to talk in the Breakfast Club, but, oh, wait, you're streaming. I got to stop swearing. So, yeah, man, everything looks great. Pudgy's great. Aster's great. And I'm a big fan now that CZ's talked about it. Like, they got the stamp of approval from, he knows what they're doing. That's what a lot of projects seek to fulfill for their momentum, is someone at his caliber. And he's already been on the space with them. So I'm going to get a nice bag once it retraces a little bit and see, I think they did over, what was it, $1 trillion in volume or something like that I saw they posted, or was it $1 billion? I don't want to say the wrong information, but it's definitely up there. It's high. So some of those projects, man, that's what you need. Community behind it, people using the product, that kind of stuff will be here for a long time. So I'm super bullish, man. I wake up and check the chart. Everything looks great. Portfolio looks great. Stables do what stables do. But it's so nice to see Larry in here. I thought Larry got arrested and put in China jail or something. I'm like, where the hell's Larry been? But it's good to see you, Larry. I'm going to give the mic over to you, Larry. I don't hear from you that much anymore, so it's definitely a blessing. And thank you for everything you bring to the table, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure. A lot of the things you talked about, or we've talked about here, I don't know if you guys remember, but I've been talking to you about Ethereum, about stables, and how stables were going to be the vehicles, for it's basically a homologated vehicle for everything that's happening in the space. Remember, I've talked at length till my lungs are blue about Ethereum and the changes, and also about DEXs in general. The move from centralized exchanges to DEXs to accommodate all of these hybrid, financial products that we have now. And now we are in the age of the DEX, right? But I want people to take advantage and just listen to a few things I have to say from my time. I've been working and grinding this whole time. on the few the projects I advise on, but beyond that, for my day job, which many of you are familiar with. And there's a few things I want you to pay attention to. I haven't been around as much because I've been told to pump the brakes and chill on what I give out. So Zach, you're almost right. Not really.
I called it. I said this in the back channel. I said Larry got halted.
No, yeah, not put in jail, but just told to chill because Lord forbid you get too much of the truth sometimes, right? Or a little bit of early. But I'm going to give you something super early because I can't. If a spade is a spade, it's a spade, right? Even for those who make mistakes sometimes, any one of us, including myself, But I will tell you that there are three main DEXs that are in contention. I kind of put out a cryptic post today with a chart comparing all the top 12 or 20 DEXs, right? And I want you to look at Aster. Of course, everyone's looking at Aster. Did a great job of marketing, great job of pulling from a large group of users from the centralized exchange. But I want you to remember that decentralized exchanges, in essence, are not just for a centralized entity. I want you to pay attention to how centralized some of these DEXs are, and the whole point is not to be so centralized, right? It's supposed to be on community community congruence and what the community wants for traded assets and to trade from within. Otherwise, a DEX is just a centralized exchange under the provenance of being decentralized, which it's not. Because, and if you go through my chart that I just did a really rudimentary chart with the main numbers, you'll see how many of the decentralized exchanges are actually ultra centralized. And that's either from inflows from the centralized exchange or et cetera. So I'm not taking anything away from Aster, but Aster's main weakness is it's ultra dependent on BNB, of course, right? And where is that liquidity coming from? Well, that liquidity came from the, billions of long positions that were destroyed by Binance. And not just Binance, but two of the other exchanges as well. I'll give them their time too. But they really bottomed out the market, to where there's a consolidation. But it's in the spirit of and then all of a sudden a decentralized exchange comes out. And we got to call a spade, like, with Justin and CZ, had the pleasure of speaking with them, working around them, being in talks with them, building with them. And it's just, you got to call a spade. You remember I told you people are going to start choosing decentralized exchanges because the technology itself from TradFi to DeFi is the same, one and the same. It's not any really different. It's just a graying margin now, right? And with that being said, there had to be some move, right? So I've been preaching about, community or consensus-based and all these basket ETFs and mixed commodity assets that we're going into now. It's come to fruition, but it doesn't mean that you should give up on hyperliquid, and it doesn't mean. And I'm not shilling anything, but I want to show you that that there is another choice because it's more decentralized. None of them, it's like we talk about. We always talk about the DeFi dream and in the guise of Satoshi's original white paper, but the thing is, we always go back to fiat, right? So there is no perfect decentralization of decentralized finance. We're always ending up back at the banks. And now we're seeing this not just in the integration of technology, but just in how we're doing financial technology as a whole, both in policy and in execution. And so there is a DAO, or DEX and a DAO called Lighter. I'm not shilling them. I'm just telling you that Lighter DEX actually is based more on, it's a great balance between Web 2 TradFi financial technology and the decentralized dream. We talked about Eigenlayer here before. Eigenlayer is going to happen. And you guys are talking about the ultimate meme, right? mid cap, low cap, high cap. But I'm going to give you a thesis that I'm writing something on, because I have written on Ethereum to the point of exhaustion. Ethereum lean is happening, and it is the number one choice for everyone. It doesn't matter if it's AVAX or Swift or Chainlink. Every one of them is running on Ethereum's. Again, if you're running all the data, like we have, Etherscan, and it provides most of the live and EVM data for most of anything that anyone's building on or bringing, right? And now we're entering the time of the era of true smart contracts. We're running into a time where smart contracts are not just input and out, just a single input function, and you're writing a contract for a single task and a remuneration and one docket of math, right? We're entering a time now where smart contracts are going to be, user interventionable on chain, right? And we're going to actually be able to use all the tenets of the blockchain in its greatest form, in the form of immutability. The ultimate meme itself is Ethereum now. And what do I mean by that? Ethereum being an origin layer, DeFi asset, one of the main four foundational assets that hold the space tight. Not just that now, but also for finance. You look at all big retail that is going to accept that, and many of them are accepting Ethereum over Bitcoin now. So we've almost matched the amount of retailers that are providing acceptance of Ethereum on point with Bitcoin. It was mostly 80% Bitcoin and 20% other, with most of the other being Ethereum. But now we're having a market balance along with banking balance. So all these technologies coming. The ultimate meme is Ethereum itself right now in its current remuneration. What I mean by that is, as we've seen, during when Ethereum Classic happened from the Ethereum the Grand Fork, and we've seen validators be consolidated up or down, etc. The greatest meme to buy right now is because it's fueled every other development. One day you're going to see Ethereum itself as the main meme, right? Because it's deviating itself now. It's finally had its time to deviate itself from what Bitcoin was. Yes, it's still a foundational element of all of the space, but Ethereum in its whole right now would be and should be, not just look past the numbers and look at it, what it's formatted to do now. It holds the most value because it will not be diluted. So when we go to Ethereum lean, people that are holding greater quantities of Ethereum will provide the basis or the storehouse for most of the liquidity when Ethereum becomes diluted to fuel Ethereum lean. And all the other EVMs and the rest of the way the banking is being set up now, you've seen all the news on Swift and the rest of the algos. They're all going to be running on an ISO token. Is the dilution of one of two main commodities. So the good news and the sad news is that Bitcoin's already heavily stepped on. What I mean by that's already diluted in value based on promises of what's going to be mined, and we're down to a very small percentile. No one truly knows how many blocks are left, but it's not there. But with Ethereum, we have, of course, a larger amount of supply. We have USDT minting 2 billion on ERC20 USDT, and that's normal. People, it's just big news now because people chose not to look at stables. It was never a big narrative, but now we know that, as many of us have always talked about, that it's fuel for the whole space, not just for TradFi, but for DeFi itself. And when we talk about launching or providing all the ancillaries or auxiliaries off of even a meme token with a large cap, it's not possible without the stable tokens. We look at Bitcoin itself. Why Tether exists as a whole was providing an on and off ramp and on ramp for Bitcoin for mostly. I mean, if we go back even further, just to have a resolution on transactions quickly, right? And to make sure that we provided a standard, an experimental standard for the rest of the world that everyone could agree on, regardless of government or your religious or your cultural embellishments or beliefs. And it was a grand experiment for Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Could we provide something that everyone could agree upon, regardless of where they live, their government, etc., what they're buying? And that's come to fruition. And now that is being, so we're really entering into the era of the centralized blockchain for certain commodities. You know, people always ask, like, why do the leading stable tokens have a blacklist or a hold function built into the contract? It's something that's not popular to talk about, but I've always said, right? So, and now we know why, right? Because in the grand scheme, in the grand architecture, as they would say, it's always been a part of what was going to happen when standard banking, you know, Web 2, I always say this, I say this to exhaustion, Web 2 has gaslighted, you know, and TradFi has gaslighted policy and law and regulation for Web 3 and DeFi, and DeFi has gaslighted solutions for the shortage of technology and the movement of data and math for Web 2 and TradFi. But this whole time it's been kind of just, they've been working together to set the narrative. So I want to remind people before you get over-invested. CZ's great. He's been in the space for a long time. One of the top, you know, original 3 Bitcoin exchanges that gave birth to any of these decentralized or centralized exchanges. It's great. But at the same time, I want people to remember that there's nothing for free, and that he, you know, Binance and himself, and not just him, Justin, and you could talk about Coinbase and some of the market makers as well, eradicated billions and billions of longs of Ethereum to make this liquidity happen for this trend that we're on right now. So would I call that almost criminal? I would call that criminal, right? But when you are setting the tone and making the deals to set the narrative for the space, then it just becomes a very educated opinion on my part. But my opinions and the facts that I bring are not always the most popular ones. But as you guys know, I will catch a fade, even for myself. Even if I'm wrong, I'll say, hey, it was wrong. I was wrong, right? But at the same time, there are other DEXs that are coming, and I would take a calm approach. If you're invested in the momentum of, like, you know, Aster, which is well executed, well marketed, but lighter DAO and a lighter DEX, the next reiteration of, you know, Hyperliquid and just even Uniswap and Unichain. People have forgotten Unichain is coming. And as Zach mentioned, Sui is working on, and we saw a little, you know, they had a little hiccup with their hybrid DAO and DEX. I'm not going to mention the name here, but those will all pick up steam. But I don't, you know, I want to go back to George Orwell. Never should we all become overly invested with a single personality, especially when it is backed and manned by the interests of a centralized interest itself, right? Because in the truest essence of decentralized finance, right, especially in the DEX, it's supposed to be peer and community aggregated, both for the assets and the chosen assets that are supposed to be circulated amongst a decentralized exchange. And that is, you know, forget the banks, you know, everyone needs to be able to get their money back and forth. But at the end of the day, I want you to remember that people got annihilated. I mean, we got wrecked. And and you know, like I said, I do business with people. These people, I talk for these people. And, you know, not many people want me to talk about this, what I'm talking about right now, but it really is the truth. And like I said, the ultimate to me right now, whatever is Ethereum, $9, $10, $12, $13,000. It's going to happen because Ethereum Lean and the rest of all of the Ethereum architecture that's going into all the regular banking is going to become diluted from Ethereum mainnet. Not just for for saturation and distribution, but also for the settlement layer itself. So if you look at that, all of these validators, everyone else, gas fees are very low now. I mean, they spike occasionally, but if you look at what the mandate as it is as a whole, if you look at these gas fees or these transactions, we're just looking in DeFi, look at all of the Web 2 and TradFi institutions that are now openly talking about using Ethereum. And Ethereum Lean is going to be the backbone, not just for XRP and the other ISO tokens, but Swift. And you remember I provided you the diagram where Swift had already absorbed UnionPay and is providing this new FedCom language as the accepted standard. And as I showed you guys both on diagrams and a bunch of the literature that I cited and I wrote on, that this new language is the accepted language based on Ethereum. And now it's come to fruition. Everyone's jumping on board. And so, and also that since we're talking about other chains, AVAX is taking over Korea and it's slowly encroaching into Japan and heavy in China as well. AVAX right now is, South Korea is the third largest crypto market in the world. They are doing what Ethereum Lean and Swift or Aster is doing for the rest of the world in the third largest DeFi market, period. So there is a lot more balance that can be brought because that's the way it has to be. But we're really entering into a new arms race now, right? So, big up to CZ for seizing, listening, and jumping on providing a DEX that's, very centralized, but it's a DEX, and Tron as well and the rest. But lighter DEX and DAO you should look at because it will provide you, again, a holistic layer to everything that you want. So, Zach, I know it's been a long time. I got other things to talk to you about too. Zach from Subway, thanks for, remembering me. The rest of you all here, my brother Matasco, Dr. Con, all of you guys, Bitcoin, Dr. Strange. It's been a long time, but you're right, Zach. I got told to pump the brakes because we're entering into Q1 2026. It's a heavy political cycle year. But, some things I just, I waited to talk about because I wanted to see how they would play out. So I'm not judge or God, jury, executioner, nothing like that. But I want you to remember that CZ, Justin, and Binance, and it's business, right? So, but where did the liquidity come from to shore up such a huge new DEX, right? And it's easy to pull in trillions of dollars of use case all of a sudden when you've already had trillions of dollars of circulating liquidity and movement of assets from a centralized exchange. And then all of a sudden they have an instant bridge to a decentralized exchange, right? So, and I want you to pay attention also to what the market makers are doing as well. They're starting to change what they're doing. And I want you to pay out, if you study anything, you should study quants. Now, quants were it's like a closed secret and mostly held from market makers. And now you're going to see all of these, market calling tools and these utilities for providing chart evaluation and some forecasting. So, for example, you go on from Zach from Subway, you get Nova, and all of a sudden Nova is equipped with a quant calculating algorithm, even a quant light that's assisted by AI that helps you forecast not just live data, the API from the exchanges share, but quants look at cumulative data beyond the scopes of whatever forecasters or chart analysts can do. And that's going to be the new meta. And quants are ultra powerful. Again, millions of dollars are spent on developing real quants, but that's what really separates market makers that actually do rather than borrow and pay from others, right? So, there are huge factors at play. They'll always give the right people the advantage. So now we have quants that are going to play one side of the chain for forecasting, but quants also to predict market conditions in reverse. Again, there's always a saying that you can find the answers to the future by looking at the past. That's part quants, but quants are scary because they can tell the future even based on almost zero knowledge, right? So that's the next big meta, I think. We have all of these other narratives that play in the space, but really you can't think of Web3 as just DeFi and its own little bubble. Far from it. If you go to any of these, like when I was at Inclusion, I didn't even get to talk here to you guys about Inclusion. And usually at a DeFi or technology event, you will have one section here, and DeFi, like even Token 2049 this year, and at Seoul Builder Week, Korea Builder Week. But I think you can ask anyone there. They had equal representation at both of these events from traditional finance companies. Talking about like MasterCard, I'm talking, and Inclusion, it was equal with, MasterCard, Ant Group, Goldman Sachs, all of these other banks, and even national governments, right? Interested in representing their financial technology developments and their policy developments. So if you can think in that mindset where you're not separating anymore, TradFi and DeFi, then you can make a lot better decisions, myself included. And it's funny, I used to be able to have kind of like a gray area where I could talk a whole bunch here about all kinds of stuff because it was still kind of gray. But now policy has caught up to me, and like I can talk about some things, but I need to get some more permission, right? Kind of sucks, but I mean, it's the real. But as you guys know, man, I talked to you guys about these DEXs a long time ago, and I said that's the future. Yield-bearing stables and hybrid assets. We can't call things just DeFi and TradFi anymore because they're one and the same, And like you used to have to think about gold as a separate commodity, but what you're going to see is what's like Tether, for example, 20% of their holdings, besides U.S. Treasury notes, are based on gold, physical gold, and Bitcoin and other higher risk, higher yield commodities, right? That's what's pushing all of these basket ETFs. So we have to have the original meme, and that's Ethereum. So that's what I'll close with, guys. I just want to tell you that Bitcoin, if you can afford it, it's a rich man's game. Buy some more because it's always going to be one of the pegs, right? But Ethereum is a forever thing because Ethereum lean, you have to think about it. Vitalik is old now. And all of us, and he had, we just did Prague, we did Petra. I did some work on Petra myself. And all of a sudden, 2 layers in, his age advanced, all of a sudden he has Ethereum lean. And then with the announcement of Ethereum lean, you have 80% of the world's banks, 30% of major technology institutions, and almost 60% of viable retail all sign up one way or another to get on Ethereum lean and what Ethereum is building through a numerous amount of its vendors, be it Swift or XRP, AVAX, whoever, right? That is the story that you need to look at, that you have to look at how much of the space is becoming centralized, not just from traditional finance and government's policy, but also just on the commoditization of the space as a whole. It doesn't matter how much of a Solana maxi you are or a Coinbase maxi. The biggest noise is being made on the original. So many people were talking so bad about Ethereum. And I always said, you can say whatever you want, but you're never going to shake me because I know what's coming. And now it's come. With basket ETFs, with hybrid commodities, with banking being implemented as part of the strategy for integration of Ethereum as a whole, and a true smart contract. No more just one input function and then it's obsolete. Those times are changing. So just like we have absolution and immutability on the blockchain, that's coming to the smart contract end as a whole itself. So everything that we're doing and that we're trying to do has to get caught up with your mindset. And then part of your mindset is like, you can't think of like, oh, the bank that I'm banking is the bad guy, and the Ethereum that I'm holding and the DEX I'm working is a good guy. It's not like that anymore. It is one and the same. So, Zach, it's been a long time, man. I'm happy to hear you guys, Zach and Matasco, everyone here. It's been a minute, so.
Always great to have you, Larry. Appreciate that. Great breakdown and insights, man. Absolutely love it. Matt, you're up here. We got Zach up here now, guys. Hey, we got a room. We got room for more speakers too. Come on up here. Share the space if you haven't already. If you guys are listening live, help us with a repost or reshare, or however the hell you help get the word out. That always helps. Let me kick it over to Matt. First, Matt, what's going on, brother?
Yo, good morning. Hey, so Larry, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine who's new into crypto. This is his first cycle. He totally was out the bear cycle. He saw a little bit of green back in December, and he's like, "I'm getting in." Right. So he got in actually in December, which was the top for 2024, and then he's got such a bruised ego right now that he actually went deeper because he bought in at the top right of 2024. So all his bags like crashed out. And I said, don't worry, that's 2024. That's not the actual bull cycle anyways. It's not until 2025, 2026. And I said, look at the historical chart, look back to 2021. So he's all in. And we were actually talking about, they pumped gold on Monday and Tuesday, right? Gold to new all-time highs. And then since that's the standard, that's the bar, what's next after that? Obviously, it's not going to be real estate because the rates are, even if they come down, they're still too high for anybody to afford $1 million house on a McDonald's salary. So the housing market is cooked. I don't care what anybody says. If it's cooked in North Dakota, I can promise you it's cooked in all other 49 states. All right, because like North Dakota, you can buy a pretty decent house here for $125,000, like a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-stall garage. And you probably can't do that in any other state. So it's cooked here. The housing market is done. It's over. It's finished. People can hope and wish and smoke opium all day long and be like, oh, no, people still have money. They have money. No, they don't. They don't have money. I'm telling you, my state's cooked. That means your state is cooked even worse because we're like shielded by mass production in agriculture, oil, manufacturing, you name it. It's cheap wages up here, and we don't. And the other thing is, our immigration workers are protected by all the rich people up here because they're making money off them. So they're not going to let the federal government step in and steal their workers. You know what I mean? So like they know that. So like the workers are coming here in flocks, and they're buying houses for $125,000. So like, yeah, it's booming here. Like it's great. But I mean, it's not booming. What I meant to say is, compared to everything else, it's booming. But we're cooked as an overall economy because there's no boats on the water anymore. There was no 4th of July parade.
You brought up a really good point, man.
Yeah.
Just wanted to tell you, this is the argument I always tell people that I've been telling people. I always ask people to think they know or they may not know is like, what's more valuable, 1 Ethereum or 1 ounce of gold? And 90% of the time, even if they're a DeFi native or a little bit introduced to DeFi or have some layman's knowledge, they'll say, "Oh, the gold is more valuable; it's a better bet." I said, "Do you know?" I always tell people that actually, an ounce of gold is not worth more than 1 Ethereum. And I didn't think I would in my lifetime see that point. I was already happy with a 50% quotient or ratio, right? And I always tell people, and then they make the argument, well, you can't, that's why it's called the gold standard. You can't, I said, but can you explain to me why you can't complain? Because, or you can't, and I tell them, you're right, you can't compare the two because Ethereum has been around for a trickling of the amount of time that gold has been around, right? And I tell them that the pattern of gold going up and down used to be, a juxtaposition of like Bitcoin or Ethereum being a counterbalance against gold. Like when gold would drop off, we see highs, and now we see them trailing each other. And with Ethereum, we used to see massive bleed offs when it was down as super down, right? But Now it's following a 5 to 10% pattern like Bitcoin. It'll shed off a little weight here and there. We'll have a little reset, but it would be down to, you remember, and I think me and Zach talked about it, and Matasco was like, you remember when Ethereum was like sub 4 digits, right? It was just crazy. We just, and I always told people, if you can, buy more, because it's gonna be more valuable than an ounce of gold. And people were laughing at me. I just want, you don't even have to be an ETH maxi. I'm just telling you that this is the way it's going to be, right? The fundamentals of the market are going to drive this, right? And so that's what I would tell your friend, Matt. I mean, he doesn't have to feel bad. He should feel great that he's doubling down. It's good to be stubborn sometimes.
That was where I was
not being a bandwagon jumper. And that's what another thing that wears you out about the space is, man, have some conviction in your conviction plays. Everyone talks about conviction and conviction plays, but I haven't faded it for a decade and a half almost. So go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry. I didn't.
So Larry, no, that's good. That's good. So that's what I was alluding to, though. It was the fact that we were talking about how they pumped gold to all-time highs on Monday and Tuesday. And then I'm like, you know what? They got to follow it up with something. And then we were talking about how everybody's broken, right? And if America is like supposedly the richest country on earth, but everybody's broke, then the whole world is broke. So the whole world is going to be looking to hedge their money. People aren't educated with money, but they are educated with being broke. Yeah,
we can hear him, Larry. Can you not hear him?
So, well,
go ahead, Matt.
But anyways, they're not educated, right, on how to hedge because they think that's like a Wall Street term, but they are educated on how to live broke, how to live poor, right? Like there's government assistance, there's ways to cut corners, but people aren't really in tune with how to make money or how to let their money work for them, right? Like hedging. So what we were talking about, what me and my buddy were talking about is the way he's getting into crypto now, because he doesn't see light at the end of the tunnel in TradFi. He doesn't see light at the end of the tunnel in real estate. He doesn't see like he sees a train wreck. So he's getting over into crypto heavier, and he's upset that he got in 2024, December 2024, but now he's like going all in on crypto. He's going all in on. He's not like he's basically becoming an XRP maxi, and Chainlink and all these other ones, right? He's top 100. But it's like the light went off inside of him, and he's like, oh my God, if everything's going crypto, and crypto looks like the only thing where the ordinary person or the institutions are wanting to put their money now because everything else is looking bad. He's like, so I'm going heavy in crypto. I'm like, finally, you're going heavy in crypto. Just think, I said in 2022 and 2023, you could have DCA'd into these coins for like nothing, right? Like when Hedera was sitting at 4 cents for 2 years, or Crow was sitting sub 7 cents for 2 years. I mean, I used to think a couple years ago that Crow at 10 cents was a steal. My God, when it went down to like 7-8 cents, it's insanity. So now he understands all that, and he's like, forget gold, forget all that stuff, silver. He's like, this looks like it's where it's going and where it's at. And I'm like, yes, it is. And he's like, how many other people are going to figure this out? And I said, you know what? When it happens, retail will come back, not like they were in 2021 because they don't have the money, but they will come back. It's just not going to make a huge impact like the institutions. However, the institutions seeing this cannot keep the price suppressed much longer. And that was what the meat of our conversation this morning was. They can't keep this suppressed much longer. And Larry, since you're here, I just wanted to ask you simply, do you think the same thing? Do you think they can keep this suppressed much longer? Like I see it blowing off the top at any moment now. How about you, Larry?
I think that the strategy is that they're trying to use the innovation of the space and the momentum of the truth as a placebo. That's why they waited as long as they could. I call it the black hole effect. We all see the huge gravitational pull of the black hole. It sucks in all the matter, good or bad. And then we used to think we didn't know where it went. Well, it slowly trickles out the back end, right? And the same gravity and the velocity of the space, like you're talking about the true inflated or deflated value of certain commodities is bothering the market. It's coming, man, but I do also want you to pay attention to the people that have money, again, like that are buying Bitcoin, are also buying lots of land, and not for the property itself, but for what's on the land, mineral rights, water rights. Your ability to grow food, for example, is becoming a huge microeconomy in itself. So, but I agree with you, Matt. I don't think that the truth can be held back much longer, and I think that's what people are getting this uneasiness, right? And how do they keep the peasants placated? I hate to call ourselves peasants. I'm a peasant myself, but it's by pretending
I
to be a
prefer
part
meat
of the
popsicle.
solution. What'd you say, Zach?
It was a joke to Fifth Element. I prefer meat popsicle.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, me too, man. I had an orange popsicle today for the first time in a long time. It was good. So.
Oh my!
But to that point, to Matt's point, let me just jump in here because and this is to me I'm no rocket scientist either. We're all normies, right? But to me, everything changed in January of 2024 when they gave the green light to the Bitcoin ETF. My strategy immediately shifted to front run the institutions. Not go cry in the corner because they ruined our parade and they rained on our parade and oh my gosh, the degen space is dead now. Oh my gosh, we're going to a centralized world. We're screwed. We're all screwed. It is what it is. You can't change it. So get in where you fit in,
Zach,
and position yourself.
Zach,
If
you
you've been
brought up a super
stacking
good
the
point.
institutional plays since January 2024, I think you're doing really fucking well.
Follow the money, right, Zach? But I want to kind of chime in on something though. That have you looked at the main adopters of Ethereum lately? Have been all the luxury and high net high wealth purchase and product producers, and there's a reason for that. Is sometimes it's good to you give 1 inch and then you get taken a foot, or 2 foot gets taken from you, right? So I want people to, I'm not saying don't spend your money and don't enjoy life, but I would tell you that it probably is a good indication that you should be holding on to your Ethereum, because we have 90% of big retail telling you, hey, we want your Ethereum now, on the ease of on the consensus of ease of use, right? Or for accommodation, rather than what is the real underlying, thought process, or what's the strategy. And it's, again, to vacuum up Ethereum at high levels at the purchase level, right? Because you didn't see all of these luxury retailers and automotive houses go into accepting Ethereum until it broke the cusp of both, lateral growth against gold and in saturation, right, versus what's being bought. Now, there are a couple microeconomies where that might be different, one of them being China, where gold is being bought in huge numbers every day. It's just crazy how much physical gold is being purchased. But it's because there's less access or accumulative to DeFi assets. It's not as free in China, right? So, but it's becoming more and more, right? So the big news, and I wanted to remind people, the big news is, with all of this, noise on ETFs and stable tokens, etc., Hong Kong and China are set to be the first ones to actually accept live deposits from regular banking institutions from Ant Group, both on a stable pathway and an ETF pathway and RWA pathway. So, again, coming first to market, I just want to remind you that Ant Group has done something nearly impossible and is already working and pushing to provide the first come to market solution that encompasses everything. And if you think that's too far from the truth, like I talked about in inclusion, China's already had a blueprint for both scalability and being able to accept the burden. What I mean by that is, Alipay and WeChat Pay that does all of that, plus provides KYC and due diligence, and provides egress and egress from both digital wallets, banking wallets, into physical goods and services. So they already have the blueprint that everyone else has been trying to build on, right? So, to what Zach's talking about, yeah, it's the paradigm shifts come, but now those small macros are not such small macros anymore. They want all of your Ethereum now. They used to want all of your Bitcoin, but now they want all of your Ethereum, and they're providing. It's funny. Luxury houses never give discounts on purchasing, but they're willing to give you a better percentage on your Ethereum than on your fiat. Isn't that crazy? And they're giving some luxury retailers are giving a premium on Ethereum over Bitcoin, which I never thought I would see, right? But it's happening. You know, like if you want to go to Porsche and buy a Porsche, they much more gladly accept Ethereum. Why? Because the tax consideration, the instant resolution of the transaction, and then of course the user operability of Ethereum as a whole over like dollars in some places, or for example rubles. You know, they're not segregating themselves from a customer base, and that's why Ethereum lean is such a crazy paradigm into what we're going into for Q1 2026 and beyond. So.
I love it. I want to get down to ADEV down there. He's been waiting. Real quick blurb from Singapore Token 2049. Robinhood CEO Vlad is there. He said tokenization is a freight train. It'll eat the entire financial system. It really starts to get interesting when all of those assets, public and private, get on crypto technology. The push to make it easier to trade real-world assets by linking them to blockchains will expand the addressable market from low single-digit trillions to tens of trillions of dollars. So I think, you know, we're talking about the institutions front running. I mean, you know, tokenization's got to be there in terms of where I think the money's going to go next. But just to give you an idea, back in January when ETFs launched, Bitcoin's price was at $44,000. ETH was at $2,300. And just to give you kind of a snapshot of back then of where we come from, then take a look at some of the other plays that performed the best last year. You know, SWE was huge. You know, New Layer 1, but it had the big VC backing, obviously from former Facebook execs. XRP, HBAR, all those ISO plays moved significantly, right? Again, this is like just after the ETFs went live. But ADEV, go ahead. Welcome to the stage. I don't think I've ever seen you on our space, so welcome in.
Hey, what's up, guys? You can hear me clearly?
We got you, man.
Cool. Yeah, so they call me a dev, a dev in this space, so I do some dev work. That's why I'm a dev. No, I'm joking. No, so yeah, I kind of actually got a little thrown off a little bit when I heard gold isn't a good hedge and XRP is a better hedge. Nothing wrong with XRP, but I had to come up and kind of ask why you feel gold is right now overvalued at like $3,800 an ounce, and I'm a BTC maxi and I love Bitcoin, and like I'm much rather hedge with Bitcoin than anything else, but I think a good hedge after that is definitely like gold, because you know just the fact that it's physical and it does hold a lot of strong properties for like, you know, scarcity and, you know, many other aspects of it. So I was curious on why you rather have a store value in XRP than Bitcoin or gold, or Bitcoin, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, but really cool conversation, by the way. I'm glad I'm a part of this. We'll definitely try to come by more often, but definitely kind of interested in hearing that take more in depth, more clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I'll open it up to the rest of the panel too if others want to jump in on this. I mean, we haven't heard from a few people. Feel free to jump in and weigh in on this, but I mean, Bitcoin is my hedge, you know, is my store of value play, is my digital gold play. That's how I look at it too. I mean, I'm not spending my Bitcoin unless I could use it as collateral. You know, I'm not going to go buy a pack of gum or a cup of coffee or a t-shirt with my Bitcoin, or give it to my state to pay my taxes.
I was doing that in Bitcoin Beach and El Salvador. That was kind of fun, but you know, it's just for like to say that I did that. But I agree with you.
I love the states now that are like, oh, pay your taxes in Bitcoin. We're adopting crypto. It's like, no, you just want my damn Bitcoin. Shut the hell up.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a freaking trap, dude. I'm going to give you my dirty dollars.
Zach, who said that they should hedge XRP instead of gold?
I don't know who said. Well, I think Matt made reference to
Someone said that.
XRP about his buddy, but I don't know if he said that he should. I don't know what Matt said. I'll let Matt speak for himself. But
I'll just chime in real quick. Diversity is a spice of life, right? You have to have a good balance of physical assets. So if you look, just pay attention to like a BlackRock or Tether or any of the large liquidity holders in the space, even AVEX. They mix physical assets. Like ADEV was talking about being in El Salvador on Bitcoin Beach, right? Lots of that property is being bought up with a mixture of gold holdings, Bitcoin, and the value of Tether itself. So, Tether itself moved from BVI and bought up lots of the BVI now is in El Salvador and is using a mixed commodity strategy to buy a combination of physical and digital assets, right? So, I mean, totally agree with you. I think having some gold, people always make fun of me like, why do you wear such big gold chains around your neck? Well, it's part of my culture, but it's also a good way to be able to have some instant liquidity if you need it, if there's no banks, no phones, etc.
don't ask why, Larry. Ask why not.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I don't think there is a why not.
No. I'm being facetious. I'm being funny.
Oh, I thought you were asking me like, why do I? I mean,
like the saying, like don't ask why, ask why not. Like,
yeah, that's it. No, I get it now. I didn't hear the other part because it got. But I mean, to what you're saying, ADEV, I mean, you can't fade gold for being the first. One of the first tokens of value placed on a singular asset that is not necessarily wasn't. I mean, there was no technical need for it except for embellishment, basically, or the value of until other things came along. Of course, we use it for batteries and semiconductors and chips, etc. But we've seen salt and we've seen other assets go by the wayside the same way. So I think having a variety to hedge yourself against any conditions is a great is a great choice. But I mean, as I wanted to say one thing, Ethereum is very expensive too now, just like gold. But I mean, to allow point of access, lower the barriers of entry. I think Ethereum, because you can fractionalize Ethereum without carrying a bunch of physical gold. I mean, that's a good argument, but I totally agree with you. I like gold myself as an asset, but
I think gold's cool, but like to me, you've got how long's Bitcoin been out now? Bitcoin's been around for what? 15 years. And in 15 years, Bitcoin has completely obliterated the performance of gold, and it's still 12x from gold in terms of market cap. So I think there's like much more reason for
historical context,
a heavier weight in Bitcoin right now. I mean, because you have a 15-year track record, you're still 12x from capturing gold's market cap, and then all of the other things too. I mean, it's it's more accessible, right?
Zach, if you look at Ethereum and then you look at the minting and the use of stable tokens, the same could be said for Ethereum and stables as a whole.
But is ETH hard capped?
Asset to gold.
Is ETH hard capped? Right? Does it have that finite supply like Bitcoin?
Well, yeah, we only have an estimate of finite supply in gold. That's why I made the comparison.
No, but ETH is capped.
Yeah, it is. But what I'm saying is that
ETH is minimal.
I'm pretty sure ETH is minimal, right?
ETH is minimal, yeah.
Yeah.
We have an estimate.
So it's minimal, but the burning rate's higher than the inflation rate. So overall, it's never going to go past 120 million.
But I want you to think about this for the future of gold, though. And this is a scary thing: is as we become more and more advanced in space exploration and robotics, etc. All those celestial bodies that are around us are super heavy in minerals, right? And who knows? One day, somehow, some way, someone might be able to say, okay, well, we have this mass that's 1/8 the size of the Earth planetoid. It's a planetoid. It's 1/8 the size of Earth, and 60% of its composition is gold. Just saying, just like salt, right? So that's just a little bit of humor.
That's a solid point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just giving you that's closer to happening now than further away, and that's why salt was more valuable than gold at times. during our development as human beings, but then went by the wayside when we found out, oh, look at all the salt that we can, evaporate from the ocean, and then boom. So just there is no 100% ending on anything. Diversity is the spice of life for that reason, right? Even your portfolio. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point with the salt aspect, and obviously, and I heard this from the Winklevoss twins. This is one of the biggest arguments about not having gold is like not seeing gold as a store of value or that valuable. So when we can go to asteroids that you can mine in asteroids and get gold. Basically, gold's at infinity at that point, right? But even if we do get to that point, there'll probably be some type of cartel that runs the gold control and make sure that there's only a certain amount of emission per year of gold coming onto the market, right?
Not will be, is.
What's up?
Well, gold is one of the most highly liquid markets in the world. Yeah. You could buy a gold mine right now for $1 million worth $100 million. No one cares. You can't produce it or sell it anywhere.
Sure. Well, let me give you a point to that too. Yeah. Look at silver. We have more mined silver than we went into a period of 2 periods in our modern economies for silver certificates, and the last silver boom that we had in the early the mid 90s to early 2000s, people made silver out to be there was a imposed scarcity on the silver itself, but as we know, there's much more silver on surface than we have, but it's still assigned a higher value, right? And so that's what makes it a great speculative commodity to hold, right? So the same argument, I totally agree with you, could be made for gold. I'm just saying that there is no 100%. How do you get around that kind of adversity of not knowing? It's simply by being diverse, right? So, I'm just agreeing with you, but I'm just saying, like, silver for an argument. People do make the comparisons between Bitcoin being gold and Ethereum being silver, but I think it's more so that Bitcoin is still gold and Ethereum has become platinum or palladium now, right? Because it is hard capped, as you said, but there is a deflationary mechanism and it's going to be diluted very soon. So those who hold origin layer Ethereum are going to win when Ethereum Lite comes. So all good arguments. I'm just saying that diversity will take care of it.
No, it's a good discussion. I'm not arguing. At the end of the day, I'm, like I said, a BTC maxi. I mean, I love Bitcoin, and I think it's probably the best hedge. And I do agree with Tech. Like in 16 years, we saw the network effect move like nothing else has moved. But I think ETH is definitely second best with that. I think ETH will hit $1 trillion faster than Bitcoin hit $1 trillion. We're going to probably see that. But overall, like ETH is its own market. It's not even going to be like a commodity, like a platinum or platinum, whatever you're saying, platinum or whatever. It's going to be a completely separate market. It's going to encompass a lot more because of stable coins and all of that. So it's going to be like the DTCC market, something where you're clearing. It's going to kind of encapsulate that type of market. It's going to be huge. ETH. I think Bitcoin is the best overall hedge right now, as we see. But I'm just giving gold I think we need to give gold more credit where it's due, because it's been around for 4,000 years, and it's actually really fun to wear. It's nice to wear. It looks good, and it's also nice to have.
It's been around a lot longer. This man wasn't selling it.
Yeah, if you want to.
Zach and Dev, I want to ask Larry some deep dive questions about Hash AI in a second, if that's cool. I'm a deep diver here.
Yeah, of course. My bad. I didn't mean to hog the mic. My bad.
Oh no, you're good, bro. I had to handle
Steve,
something, and I joined back, and Zach said that Larry works for Hash AI. So I just have a question about the HOKO event, where you were literally on the main presentation. I sent a picture here now, where for Dubai, right? It's the best AI project for 2025. What do you think about that with the cloud mining? Can you have any input? And do you also? Can you tell me what you also learned from Bally SIGNH, the guy who I think owns the HOKO agency event, and he's the billionaire that owns Humane AI, the AI that took over Everdome. Everdome was a failing metaverse, and now it became this project backed by a billionaire. But that billionaire attends the same event where Hash AI, where Larry's coin was at. So I just have questions about that
first,
event.
To give you clarification, not my coin, right? I was part of the team as a chief strategy officer for quite some time. I still advise for them. And I did the talk there for banking the unbankable. I did a couple keynotes. I did a panel. One of the panels was on MSNBC, GCC. And I talked about those parts. It's the first of a first coming to market, very, cloud and merge mining focused. And
can you explain how the cloud mining works? And can you explain how you have servers in London, soon to be Dubai, like all around the world? Like, I don't remember the other locations, but isn't there like 7 or 8 places? And can you go into how you guys are using like 8000 series graphics cards, which it gives you a higher yield because those are like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 graphics cards.
Man, computers. I can do that. Can I ask you for a favor? Can I come on to the next space with Zach and do this? Because I gotta head to another space right now. As you can ask Zach, I'm not around like I used to be because of my work. So, and like I just said, just to be totally clear, it's funny that that I had a lot of the footprint in the evolution of what they're doing, and I appreciate you knowing so much. But I'd love to talk to you more about that on the next space. So
I would love to talk about a bunch of like things, like your small market cap coin. There's a bunch of small
Steve, your
market cap
mic is
again. It's not my coin. Again, I want to clarify to you. It's not my coin.
Your mic is like super loud, man.
Oh, I'm gonna try to fix it, Zach. Is it better now?
Yeah, sound like you're in a concert hall.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's like echoing and like crazy.
Sounds like you're calling the horses, brother.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a bunch of power from the sounds to mine hash AI. You see, it's artificial intelligence coin. I plugged into the chat GPT. Now I'm printing coins. I'm printing them. I just printed 6,000 hash with my loud speaker sound computer system.
Well,
we got gold rolling over, dragging us, guys.
Hash more.
We could do like more of an AI type space one of these days. We'll bring Larry on. He'll have a lot to add to that conversation for sure. But I want to keep things kind of on task here. Just kind of keep things going in the direction we were moving. Matt, go ahead, man.
Yeah, just a little clarification on what the dude was talking about, hedging and using gold and all this other stuff. So my buddy was actually he's a TradFi guy. He just got into crypto, but he like woke up to crypto. Like that's what I was trying to say. He woke up to it, and now he's going deep, like really deep into crypto. And he was asking me like, how long before and he doesn't have the terms like normies and retail and all this stuff. He doesn't use that stuff. So I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he's asking me how long before the rest of the world wakes up to crypto. And I'm like, dude, this is, a lot of us have been here for a while. People are slowly waking up. It's an uphill battle. People are going to be using crypto before they even know they're in crypto, before they even realize it, right? Especially like generations like boomers, Gen Xers. And so when I asked Larry about that, the bottom line was, since this dude woke up and he's figuring this out, my homie, how long can the institutions keep this market suppressed in crypto and hedging against inflation with gold? Now, that's always solid, right? Solid gold, like that's always a great hedge, in my opinion. And that's the same financial advice. But it's a great hedge because check this out. When I was a kid, when I first started paying attention to like markets and gold and shit like that, I was a freshman in high school. Gold was $350 an ounce. So in 35 years, gold has 10x'd, right? Or just a little over 10x'd. So we talked about hedging, and I'm like, look, if I would have put $1,000 in gold when I was a freshman in high school, today I'd have $10,000. Whoopity fucking do. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? But if I would have put $1,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, today I would have $100,000. So this was the wake up call that he gave himself, and this is what we're telling. Like, this was our conversation: was holy shit. How long before the rest of the world understands, okay, crypto's the future. What the hell am I doing putting my money into shekels and treasure chests and buried treasure maps? when I could be doing this and walking around with it on my phone and jet setting all over the world and always have cash in my wallet, crypto wallet, right? Without exchanging money. So the point was, yes, gold and silver and all precious metals and oil and everything and Tesla, they're all great stocks. I would never say that's a horrible purchase. And it's not financial advice. But what looks like the future is about what looks like the world is about ready to get hit with like a Mike Tyson prime knockout punch is crypto. And how much longer can these institutions keep these prices suppressed? Because right now, to me and my buddy that's brand new in crypto, we're talking this morning like, dude, this has got to blow, the lid's got to blow off the top soon. Because they don't, as time drags on, that's just more and more people putting in $100 here, $100 there, $1,000 here, $1,000 there. And believe me, these people don't want you to have money. If you go to dinner with a bunch of millionaires and you're the poorest one there, they're going to look at you to pay the check. And they're not going to offer to pick up the check. That's not how they work. They want to bleed humanity dry. They want to take all the life force from you and all your generations. They're not here to give you money. They're not here to make you rich. They're here to keep you enslaved and keep stepping on top of your head whenever they walk to their car. They don't care about us, you, me. And it's people that have that, oh, well, they're going to give us this opportunity. They're going to give us that opportunity. No, they're not. And I'm actually surprised that they've kept the prices suppressed as they have this long. Like, I'm surprised they just didn't do like, you know what? Hey, let's just fire it off. Put everything into crypto. Let's 1,000x this shit. And let's call it. We got no reason to drag these peons along anymore. They can do this without us, is what the point is. They can make the switch to crypto 100% without us. Now, people aren't going to die of shock when they do that. People aren't going to say, oh, man, I missed it. People are just going to look in confusion and move on with their life. It's not going to be a big deal to like 99% of humanity. But to that 1% that's here, to us, it is going to be a big deal because we want to become rich off this shit. So you got 1% of us hoping for this bull run to go 1,000x any moment, and you got the rest of 99% of mankind sitting there with their thumb up there, whatever. So I don't think they can keep it suppressed much longer, and I think we're gonna see some crazy gains here. All right, I'm off. I'm up.
So you think the crypto market in total is going to 1,000x in the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, I actually really think so. Explode? I can explain how I think it's actually gonna, and this is from factual proof, if you guys don't mind.
Well, let me make myself clear here. When I say 1,000x, that's just a number I'm throwing out there. I mean, some points are going to 2x, some points are going to 1,000x.
I'm not capping. I can actually show you where they admit that.
But I mean, when people ask for specifics, listen, I'm not going to give you my exact birthday. I'm not going to give you my exact.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to.
If you think it's 1,000x, think that. If you think it's a 10x, think that. If you think it's a 2x, think that. Now look, is Bitcoin going to 1,000x in my lifetime? Hell no. Is it going to 1,000x in anybody's lifetime? No, not from this point. But are there cryptos that are going to 1,000x here in the next 6 months? Abso-frickin-lutely. You just have to find them and do your own research and not sit there, picking somebody else's brain and taking the short way out. If you're not doing your own research, you're done. I already know, your history. So
yeah, I agree with that. Can I speak on top of that? I have some good stuff to drop, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a conversation about 1,000x or whatever. So what do you got, Steve?
I sent the pictures to the comment section. It's not a super secret.
Is that on you?
On top of, we could be 100x, 1,000x more than value. It could happen 6 months to a year. But if you look at the fourth picture, it says SALT London is a high-level, invitation-only gathering of 350 leading institutional asset allocators, alternative investors, technology entrepreneurs. So the guy from Kraken, the Arthur guy, the guy who was at the last meeting in Wyoming said 1,000x is coming, and now they're having an event in London. But it says it's invitation only. So literally, the video, I found it through LinkedIn. It's they deleted it at one point, made it private so you can't get it. and now it's unlisted. It only has 10,000 views. The Federal Reserve is there, Stellar's there, Casper's there, like all the winners are there, and the guy saying 1,000x is coming. Stronghold's there, like all the winners, like H-Bar, and now they're having a new meeting. It does say invitation only. So if you watch the meeting, they admit 1,000x is coming. The Federal Reserve says the trillions are coming onto space. You know, with Trump being a president and pro-crypto, now they're having meetings. They said this meeting wouldn't happen if the Democrats won. They actually said that because last time they would even barely meet them in a hotel. Now Trump's having a legit meeting with all the elites and chain links there and all the winners. Like 1,000x could be coming. They're like, if you look at Ondo's website, they're calling it Wall Street 2.0. It connects to the BlackRock Biddle Fund. Ondo Finance has over 100 assets about to be tokenized. I feel like that's why they're doing the government shutdown. They're trying to crash the markets and then bring it all on to crypto. Oh, everyone look over here. There's a government shutdown. Whole time, they're getting ready to switch it over.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some merit.
That.
I definitely think there's some merit to that. I'm getting a lot of static on my end. Can you guys hear okay? People on YouTube saying.
I get static too.
Okay, I was getting a lot of static.
Yeah, he keeps cutting in and out.
What happened?
He's cutting in and out every so often with the static.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone else sounds good though.
Okay, Steve, maybe drop down, come back up, dude, because the mic's real static on a lot of people's end. But Adev, go ahead, man. If you want to respond, I think you were starting to say something. Go ahead. We got a bunch of hands too. We'll get to everybody.
No, I agree. I don't care about it. Yeah, I agree. Exactly what you said is 100% correct. I want to be clear. I don't care about 1,100x, but I just think it's. I mean, I'd like to hear what Matt is saying. Having friends come on board in crypto and seeing all this, it's good to see that we have new entrants coming, new people that are coming, new entrants coming into the space. I think that's important. But I mean, I really don't want people to get their hopes up that the cycle is going to be a super cycle. We're going to see all these like crazy multiples. I do agree there will be some cryptos that are doing something, unique and different. That maybe it's an H-bar, maybe it's some other tokens that are doing something powerful in the ecosystem. But I'm actually curious on what you guys actually. I was if you don't mind me asking another question, Zach. I was actually curious what narratives you guys are thinking we're going to see those like big multiples for different tokens. I'm curious what you guys think is going to be like SocialFi. Is it going to be you guys probably saw Zcash today go insane. So is it going to be privacy tokens? Is it going to be L1s? Like I'm actually kind of curious on other people's opinions on this. I don't know if we want to go that way, Zach, but I'm just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
No, I'd love to get into that. Just talking about various sectors, where we think the biggest gains are, how the cycle is going to play out. I think that's exactly where I want to go with it. So whoever wants to jump in, there's a bunch of hands up. SPX, you've been waiting for a while, man. If you want to speak to some of this market cycle, in the minds of investors, front-running narratives, this kind of conversation.
Yeah, no, for sure. And good morning, everyone. I mean, listen, none of us knows where things are going to go, and to start applying crazy multiples to certain assets in such a short time frame is a dubious endeavor at best. I mean, listen, we can all have our projections. We can all take educated guesses on where things are going to go. But at the end of the day, that's all they are. They're just educated guesses. I think we're positioned well. I think I'm hoping for an extended bull run. I mean, if the top is going to be November, December, that's a little disappointing in my view, unless things just go completely parabolic in the next few weeks, which I don't see that happening. So I'm hoping for an extended bull run, as I'm sure all of us are. I mean, listen, if things start going super parabolic in the next few weeks, that would be fantastic. But none of us know. We can all just take educated guesses. And just to comment on one of your posts, Zach, you asked.
Hold on, guys. I'm getting us back in here. I don't know what this static is all about.
I'm optimistic. I'm biased, but just wanted to call that out. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I think we're all optimistic and we're all hoping for the best. So thank you.
Is SPX Murat?
SPX is Murad's top pick. Are you asking me if I'm Murad?
No. SPX is Murad's project, right?
No, he has. I mean, when you say his project, he's shilling it. For lack of a better
comes from
word.
Goldman Sachs and bankrupted his fund, right?
Listen, hold on. Well, I heard something about that, but you know what? Watch past videos of him talking about Bitcoin, maybe in 2016, 2017, specifically one with Anthony Pompliano. What impressed me was not that he got things right. It's in the way he thinks said we're going to pan out, and they panned out exactly as he said they would. So listen, and that doesn't mean that he knows everything. Everyone should do their own due diligence, but the metrics are there to support SPX 6900. The enthusiasm is there. The community is there. I don't see why it can't go much higher. We've seen other shittier tokens with a lot, quote unquote utilities do nothing. So, at the end of the day, everyone should do their own due diligence. I'm optimistic for whatever reasons I am. Everyone should do their own research. Nothing I say is financial advice. But as far as Murad bankrupting I don't know too much about that. I heard some rumblings, but so what? I mean,
He was overexposed during one of the crashes and didn't set limit orders for stop losses.
and therefore what? That means SPX 1600 is a bad
No, he had
project?
to do a full rebrand, come back looking like Jesus. We're good.
Cool story. I mean, I don't know how that ties into SPX 1600.
We just like all the data. We don't FUD, just data.
Okay, great. I mean, that has nothing to do with the underlying project. It's just a person with their own experience. I mean, I'm not, the FTX crash. Does that mean the Bitcoin network is faulty or all of crypto is bad? No. I mean, I don't know what the point of that is. So.
Consent is key, just the data.
Hey, Zach, is my mic better now, Zach? Like better now?
So you talk about data. I can bring you data on why Bitcoin is awful, and that doesn't matter, because there's data that supports Bitcoin. And anyway, I said my piece. Thank you, everyone.
Buy some Bitcoin.
So you talk about data. I can bring you data on why Bitcoin is awful, and that doesn't matter,
maybe.
because there's data that supports Bitcoin. And anyway, I said my piece. Thank you, everyone.
Buy some Bitcoin and Ethereum.
I love Bitcoin.
Guys on the live stream, we're having issues with me joining as co-host on the actual space. So if you guys are watching, or listening to this on the stream, we're going to go fully on the X space. So come join us on the X space, guys. Anybody listening, come join us on the X space right now. Just follow me on X. You'll find it at @Z_Humphries. Come and join us on the X space. Everybody listening live on YouTube and X. All right, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, cool.